Thanks to Hungry Jacks, you can win a trip for two to the 2018 World's Grand Final in Korea. To enter, head to os.lollysports.com/worlds-trip and fill out your details. The trip includes flights, transfers, accommodation, and tickets to the 2018 World's Grand Final. All thanks to Hungry Jacks.
Hello and welcome back to the OPL, of course, brought to you by Hungry Jacks, as so well pointed out by my co-host of Rice, Agent Paul. And when we talk about shot calling, people should go back and watch that mic check, because Juves even shot calls the win moment.
Is it really like a win moment pop off, like everyone's screaming, if you have to pre-plan it?
I think that is actually like the quintessential Juves.
Well, I just think it's hilarious because Juves to me is one of the most like authentic, like if you see Juves in a video or whatever, like Juves, right? And then he's pre-planning these end of game victory moments.
He wanted his first one with a remind,
that's true,
with mash, with chippies. He wanted it to be special.
Nothing wrong with making sure it goes all clean, I'll give him some leeway.
I can dig it.
Yep.
However, getting back to this match, Bombers versus Legacy, it is a clash of the AFL teams. 1-1 right now. And I think two very stompy games in their own way. I mean, Bombers got out to a massive lead in their first game. Legacy got out onto the massive lead. Legacy closed much cleaner than Bombers. However, both of these games have been fairly one-sided.
And that's the thing. I feel like in a lot of situations where you see... This might be a bit harsh, where you see like a lower-rated team versus a higher-rated team. When the higher-rated team wins, it's like early advantage, mid-advantage, end of the game. When you see a lower-rated team, it's like struggle for early advantage, struggle for every pick, struggle to set up the Baron, and it's a lot less of a clean victory, and that's what we saw. So I expect coming into game number 3, Legacy to just want to play standard games. They want to give Mimic something top lane, play another Lucian Braum game, things like that. Get nothing to go wrong in the early game, and then they'll be fine.
Yeah. I'm actually really happy that the camera is off my face, because I'm starting to, like, salivate. Is that the word?
Yes, that's a word.
Because you heated up food during the break that we just had.
It's quite nice.
And I haven't eaten. And it is just over the edge of the table, and it's like beef and gravy and peas, and it smells real good. However, getting into this champion select, thank you, Mr. Spectator. It's going to be Zoe Carver as well as Skarner, and it's going to be Rise, Aurelia, and Talia taken away by the Bombers.
Once again, red side Talia ban, red side Aurelia ban. This is back to same game 1 for the Bombers.
Yep.
And do we just see the Lucian? No, that's a Lulu. Lucian did not get banned.
Actually surprised we don't see Braum. I think the Braum was absolutely instrumental. I think it would have forced either a Lucian pick, which I don't think the Bombers want to go for, or a different bottom lane to come out of Tiger and Rosie. Now, potentially, they can just go. Although you can play Lulu Lucian Braum if Claire wants to play it. But I was going to say you could just go Pike something else.
Ooh, do they just take it? Yeah, do they play a third game of Pike? Rosie's obviously spent a lot of time playing Pike in scrims.
I think the Pikes look good.
Coming into today's games, Legacy don't respect it enough to give it a ban. Do they lock in Lucian Braum here? Are they like, okay, that lane is very oppressive? Because the Pike has been good, but that lane was rough. Like, he's not a traditionally strong laner. He can do really weird things, set up ganks. Like, he can E-flash, and it's a very hard to dodge stun into a rip back with a harpoon. He has unique ways he can play the lane, but it's not like he has range poke where he can poke you down and then has like a big all-in where it's very easy, like something like Karma or an alley.
Like, and I say this in a lovingly way, like bad Alistair, where you can either go in and do something or you can't.
Yep.
And they're the two decision-making trees that you have. And unfortunately, Alistair, actually with Aftershock, does a lot of damage in the early game. People underestimate level 3 Alistair's combo, especially if he hits you with Trample and the Aftershock. He does a lot of damage. Pike doesn't do all of that much.
But the one thing is also we're not in a heal meta, because heal is hugely advantageous against an Alistair. When he like combos you and you use the heal to buffer his E, he has to blow the flash, things like that. But Pike, just exhaust Ignite, like you could just hard commit onto engage.
Absolutely.
There's not that extra health that can come out.
Do we see the Syndra again? Claire has gone with the Yasuo.
Ooh.
All right, so we're going to see a Vladimir locked in for Luch. Certainly one of Luch's better champions historically. Vlad Oriana, two champions that I remember Luch for. Very annoying to pick up.
Had a very rough game on the Vladimir last week, but that was into a Zoe, so completely different matchup into the Yasuo. Should fare absolutely fine.
Bombers also look like a different team this week. Even in that loss, they were still willing to make proactive plays.
Yep.
Bombers last week just did not look like they couldn't buy a proactive play for themselves.
They also didn't draft a proactive play.
Yep.
And today they have.
Great. I like it.
So
As
we
I
see
said,
the switches up.
I've said this so many times. I feel like this team is on the cusp. I feel like they're waiting for that moment to push them over. And if they can't find it, and this is what frustrates me / upsets me, is that they're all like reasonable people. Like if they can't find that moment, they're going to look back on this season and they're going to be so frustrated and disappointed in it. So as a spectator of the OPL, you want them to find that point whether they get pushed over and they start playing good League of Legends. Doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily win the OPL, because they're a long way off that, I think. But you want them to start that ramp.
Taking a second game of Legacy would be a very good start. They can turn this around 1-2. Aatrox. It's going to be the ban.
I mean, potentially is a good change up here, because it's once again one of those fighters that can team fight. We've been talking about sleeping on a fighter that can team fight a lot.
Yeah. We had this conversation off cast, but I need to have it on cast because I just think it's so funny that Aatrox is now in a playable state. He isn't a piece of rubbish. You can pick the champion and do good things, and he's getting reworked. So for Aatrox fans out there,
Bummer.
Unlucky. But that's a fiddlesticks.
I really like Aatrox as well. I tried to make Aatrox work so much.
To no avail.
I would like do like blue buff Gromp red into like Scuttle Crab into like gank, because you can't do AoE camps at the start. Then you like go back.
Oh, like jungle Aatrox.
Yeah,
okay.
you get like your Tiamat, and then you're like, oh, this kind of sucks. I got no HP. Then you're like, okay, top lane Aatrox. And back then, people would just like pick Kennen and stuff into you.
If you're
like,
a jungler and you have to build Tiamat to clear camps, you're already at a deficit.
100%. I would say you're at a 1200 gold deficit.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Pretty bad. But Rosie, ever the hipster, 2 Pike games and now one of the fiddlesticks. We've seen a little bit of this in LCK. Paired a lot with Vlad in the bottom lane. You actually go Aftershock, as you're looking pretty quizzically at the screen.
Yeah, I certainly am. I'm just wondering who is going where. Is that going to be an Ornn Alistar bottom lane? Is that going to be an Alistar Yasuo bottom lane? Is it going to be an Alistar Lulu bottom lane?
I reckon Ornn is most likely going in the top lane. Ali Lulu, Ali Yasuo, definitely 2 possibilities. Against something like the Fiddlesticks, I feel like
now it shouldn't go in the top lane, because Singed has been locked in once again. One of those disruptive. He plays almost like a bruiser, not as a pure tank Singed.
He's just a tank that just beats other tanks.
Yeah.
And that's a very frustrating thing to deal with. Because he doesn't deal with you, he just pushes you in, like farms in between your turrets.
He can kill you early game.
He can. And is very difficult to deal with. If you commit resources to Singed, he's a very frustrating champion. Because if you try and gank him and he runs you through your Nexus and out the other side, he has bought so much time. You're not farming camps. You're not getting a successful gank. You have to pull members across from the other side of the map to deal with it.
Not to mention,
like, incredibly annoying.
The big thing about Singed is if he has Insanity Potion running and he has any charges of Corrupting Potion, do not go near him. He is, as soon as he pops that ultimate, he is useless to chase. He is quicker than you. He does so much damage. He gets so much health back. He's just... I see so many people in solo queue do the right thing. They pop his ultimate. That means he's going to have to recall. Your top lane is going to be able to catch the wave. Don't chase him at that point, because he will turn it around.
And we do see the Lulu go into the bottom lane. And the reason I like this is because they're against double range. If you have Ali Yasuo against Lucian and the Fiddlesticks, anytime Yasuo walks in, because he relies on being able to like E through a wave, QU, get an auto attack, and then E backwards. If you just hit him with a point-and-click fear midway through that, all of a sudden Lucian gets a full combo. It's incredibly difficult to deal with.
In saying that, Fiddlesticks is my favorite matchup as Alistar in all of League of Legends.
Okay.
Fiddlesticks has no health. He starts the game with like 420 health.
And Hadley starts with like 9,000,002.
Yeah. And so all you have to do is bait out his E, which is on such a long cooldown. Then you headbutt pole him. And he dies. In saying that, you could probably still do it with Lulu. So let's go. I'm a big Ali fan still. He's still my favorite champion.
And we see the summon a mismatch at the bottom lane. Legacy sticking with the Ignite and the Exhaust. Tiger and Rosie going for more defensive. Probably know that all-in potential early from Ali is there.
Oh, he's going Aftershock. Okay, cool. That's pretty standard nowadays.
It is, because you get into the middle of a team fight with your ulti, and you're a support, so you don't get a lot of gold, so Zon uses a bit of a luxury. And then you just become hella tanky when you hit someone with a fear.
Yeah.
Like these two guys on your screen right now, having a bit of a dance. That is the best optimal skin choice for a Singed play, by the way.
See, I am a big fan of Dyrus. Dyrus was the first pro player that I ever watched.
Singed?
He's a surface singed.
So that's an overrated skin, man. Samsung White skin? skins, I can respect. You're a Samsung White Singed player.
Yeah.
I can get behind that. But
Yeah, I like Looper a lot as well. However, I feel like I had this conversation. I can't remember who it was. I think it was Ben. I had a conversation with Ben last week. If you've committed to a skin, like, because I played in Season 2, Singed was my most played champion. Because they just nerfed Jax. And I was like, okay, I'm going to become a Singed main. I think that if you've stuck with a skin that long, you have to continue it. You can't, like, bail and pick up a new skin. You're not like that. As soon as a new pretty skin comes out, you're like, get me that new shiny thing.
Marauder Alistar player, and then when this skin came out and you have hella chroma packs,
this skin
you have
sucks.
to do it. This skin is so good.
Black Alistar or no
Nobody
Alistar?
owns Black Alistar.
Black Alistar or no
ancient.
Alistar?
You're the only one that has that skin. But as we get into game, we're just taking a nice little trade onto Claire. Procs Electrocute. So it's another Electrocute Vladimir. See if he goes for the Proto Belt.
Vlad auto attacks at early stages of the game, underrated. See Claire continue going. Oh, this is actually... Oh, no, he's not going for it.
They're so far pushed. Level 1 bot lane. There's potential for a gank there, but...
You could have blown multiple summon spells. Flash Pulve out of Ali. Someone is going down.
Level 2 did just get popped, so all of a sudden
but he's got no mana.
Drop.
He can't do it anymore.
Does he lose that? Smite?
Yes, he does, and he might just lose his life. He is in the pit, as you pointed out. He's going to get pushed back by Dragon. He's going to have to flash, and that is so well played by Seb.
Oh, there was such an opportunity there. Was not taken. Loses the crab as well. You can see the look on his face. Head in his hands. Very disappointed with the outcome there. Loses almost everything. And Seb gets a hella fat leash on the Scuttle Crab. Now gets a blue buff.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's going to be at least a camp ahead. Potentially even 2. We see bottom lane now. This is where it's a feel bad because you felt like they were going to die if you're decoy and raid.
Yep.
And now you feel like you're stuck under your turret forever, just getting pushed in.
Because you don't know where Graves is. You have no vision on the bottom hand side of the map. Your jungler has to go top. Sleeping, of course, has priority. Will spot out the Olaf here. Level 2 versus level 3. The Singed. He can honestly be a complete nuisance here if he wants. He can fling the blue buff.
With him.
He can fling the Olaf.
Just going to reset
Seb's here. They have priority on every lane.
Yeah, they're going to bring everyone over. Does Seb go over the wall?
Only can't even start his walls right now.
Oh, Luch didn't go with him, so now Seb has to get out.
Is that enough? Probably will. Seb not going to want to contest that one by himself. So everyone goes back to the lanes. They delay only for a significant portion of time, but ultimately he does retain control of the blue buff.
And Ornn's really the one that misses out on that. That's not going to be an electrocute proc off the E, and that's actually a very nice trade by Claire. Will not get the knockoff off the third Q. Now throws it out and does. Good damage.
That was on the cusp of
also
being out of range
stopped the
there.
blood rush as well, which is big because going to delay a lot of the lifesteal.
And Seb has a ward on the blue. He knows that's the only camp available for Only. Sleeping is already here. Only has no vision of either of them right now.
So he's going to get beat up. He's going to get chased down. And Sleeping, that is a strange flash. Can he get him? No, he cannot. So now Sleeping is in some trouble. And you can see the collapse is coming out. And Sleeping is going the very wrong way around. And
Luch is going to die to the turret?
Yeah, he has to go die somewhere.
Seb wants to try and save him. Turns back for a second, but ultimately won't be able to do anything. Is it long enough for an execute? He has some time to buy.
So that will be the execute coming across.
Best case scenario for a completely botched play by the Bombers. That was a free kill. Dash did not need to be used by Seb. He was in auto range. Keep it to keep up with Only. You have the flank from the Singed. Has to run through both of you, but unfortunately for them, Sleeping loses his flash and they don't get the kill.
Just such a bizarre play because Sleeping had such a good advantage top lane as well. The first time Mimic rotated, the wave was pushing against him. So he lost like 4 creeps and would have been so far behind in the experience department. Now, however, with no flash, Sleeping can't really play that annoying style all that often.
Rosie, speaking of being annoying, just sitting in the bush. But there's not a lot of poke down on the bot lane. You have to think that favors the Ali matchup. He's maintained most of his potions, only used one, and they both have biscuits. They know that the poke lane is there from the Bombers, so they both go Inspiration Tree, both go biscuits, and sitting at full HP at level 4. This is kind of the tipping point for poke lanes against
Headbutt Pulve is going to be there. Trample is going to do full damage, and that's what I mean. Half of his health just gone. Ali OP. Imagine if he had Electrocute as well as the Spell Thieves.
Imagine if he didn't and actually was a good champion and did exactly what he just did. Sustain. Going to come out for the Alistar as well. But this is the tipping point for poke lanes versus an Alistar. Either you bully him like level 1, 2, and 3 before he has that all-in potential, or now it's like this and you can't step up.
Yeah.
Rosie cannot be in auto range of Alistar because if he gets comboed, he dies, as you mentioned earlier. Very easy pick up point and click damage from the Lulu. As only once again venturing into Seb's jungle.
So now really top lane is going fine for Legacy. Mid lane starting to go okay as Claire catches back up in CS. Luch is being forced underneath his turret. That's the insanity potion I was talking about. And Mimic knows. Just get out of dodge. Because he just giggles at you. He runs around. You can't kill him. He's unkillable.
Yep. He's got the button. He's clicked the button.
It is actually scientifically proven that
invulnerable.
at that stage of the game, you just cannot do it.
We haven't mentioned yet, it is another Infernal Drake. I feel like we've seen so many Infernal Drakes today. We go through days. Yep. Some days are Air Drake days. They're nice and slow.
Yeah, so unlucky for Order, Direwolves, Tectonic, as well as
Avant,
because you're not going to get any tomorrow.
They're just getting Air Drakes. Ocean Drakes.
Air and
Drakes.
Ocean, yeah. We've had a couple of mountains today as well.
Yeah, we have. We've had a few. Not too many. But this is a fairly slow start to the game. Previously, we've seen First Blood by this point easily. But 7 minutes. Gold lead dead even between the two. Lanes across the board pretty even. 10 CS lead for Legacy in the bot lane. 10 CS lead for Bombers in the mid lane.
And I feel like Seb is the one that has to get busy.
Yep.
Because he had the early advantage, gave it back. And now you can see he's going into the jungle. He's trying to get something done. And really, it's his responsibility to be able to turn some of this early game around.
They've done a very good job at tracking only. They haven't successfully stolen a lot away. The kill earlier did not go down. Does he get the camp?
No, he does
level
not get the camp.
only.
And only level 6. He saw Sleeping cheating over, but Seb has just wasted so much time this game.
Every time he doesn't get a camp,
that's actually the Ornhorn called, and this is going to be First Blood. Flashed the wrong way, and that's Claire grabbing a kill for his team, and this game is just not going well. Insanity Potion not available, so Sleeping going to be chased down. Big damage coming out of Mimic.
And once again, a play in the jungle is detrimental to the Singed. We talked about he wants to be at this point. He's got the ring stacking. He wants to be starting to proxy, starting to farm behind the turrets and just bullying out the Ornn, but the tides have turned. Every time Seb gets shoved out of Only's jungle, he goes down here again. All of a sudden, it's a disaster for the Singed. That's an Infernal Drake.
That's the Infernal Drake picked up again with the Lulu, who's going to be stacking a lot of AP, and the Yasuo, who just wants to go towards that 100% crit build. One more time. Sleeping just going to be looking to be a nuisance in this top lane, run around in circles. We'll try and fling away. Mid lane, however, Luch goes very low, uses his Ignite as well.
That's both summoners burnt by the Vladimir. Claire, still with third proc of his Q available.
So Claire looking much more comfortable as this game has progressed. As this series has progressed, rather.
Last game was the bounce back. We saw him play Yasuo game 1. Was an absolute disaster against the Syndra. The Vladimir not nearly as effective as Sleeping's just going to hit a pink ward, but Claire got his confidence back.
And now Sleeping's doing the opposite of what we kind of talked about. Now he's being entirely selfless. The whole laning phase, he's cheated into the jungle. He's now cheated towards mid lane. He's going to lose a big creep wave up to the turret here. He's going to give a free shop over to Mimic. And this is one of those games that you felt like he was in a situation where, as the Singe, could have really looked to take over this top lane tank versus tank matchup.
And the matchup is just reversed. If you're the Ornn, you're like, yes, I have priority on the Singe. Let's walk mid. Let's look for a pick. But all of a sudden, it's the Singe doing it. It's nowhere near as effective. Unfortunately for him, just going to keep copying it from the Ornn up here by Mimic. And Mimic's actually going pretty greedy. He's gone for the Sheen purchase. Wants that gauntlet.
Yep.
So knows he's ahead. Has the XP lead. 10 CS lead as well.
And
wants to be able to bully him out.
Again, that they've called down the Singed. And Mimic has now got a 15 CS advantage.
It's only 300 gold, but they're incredibly early into the game. They have the Infernal Drake in their back pocket as well. So Legacy, as I was talking about before the game started, they want that small early game lead, and they want to keep building it like they did in game number 2.
See whether they're able to do that. Insanity Potion is about to come back available for Sleeping. See whether he's able to continue to proxy there.
You just love looking at that cooler. That's all you're doing. Just, is it up? Yes. Okay. Singed is fine.
That's when you become a champion on Singe. Like, it's silly, but you take so much, even creep damage and things like that stack up on Singe early game. When you start getting tabbies and things like, it doesn't really matter. By that point, you're just a fat tank and all the fun goes out of the game.
Speaking of fun, Fiddlesticks is level 6. Has gone for the Sandy skin instead of the Surprise Party.
Do you like Surprise Party, Fiddle?
Well, speaking of fun, Surprise Party Fiddlesticks is much more fun than Sandstorm Fiddlesticks, but
I use the
Sandstorm
Bandito
probably
one.
does more damage. Rosie's actually looking for something. They've brought down Seb. Decoy is level 6, so they really need to be getting onto the Lulu.
They're going to ward Rosie out here.
Oh, this is a collapse for Legacy.
This is everyone coming. Predator propped as well, only looking for something, however, will not find it.
They didn't know Seb were there. They wanted to just straight away
Bottom lane turret's going to go, however.
Lane. Ooh. Claire actually goes back mid, fighting with Luch on the left.
Yeah, you can
side,
see Luch has to burn the ultimate. That isn't all in. Headbutt
Oh.
Pulver is going to be there. Will get caught up. Will fall down. Cancel TP. And now bottom lane is in even further trouble.
And had no flash. Couldn't get over the wall. As soon as he sees the Alistar, he falls down. Pool already burnt. Sleeping, we talked about it. Once again, burns another tool to try and help out his team. And unfortunately, bites him in the arse a little bit because they have no way to defend this bot side. No way for Singe to get down here. And Legacy can just rinse and repeat in about a minute.
Yeah, now maybe it will make him play selfishly, however. Now potentially he's just going to push past the turret, try and keep Mimic top lane. See mid lane turret, that's going to go down one more time. Seb gets flashed on. That's the knock-up. Very clean mechanics from Claire. And that should be mid lane turret going down. Once again, Sleeping will be running away. That's going to be the solo kill. And there is nothing the Bombers can do.
And you know what did it? No Insanity Potion. Ultimate on cooldown. Such an easy pickup by Mimic. And Legacy doing so well to punish the flashless members of Bombers, actually. Oh.
Yeah, meanwhile, bottom lane, they've used both summoner spells on Tiger. They've used the ultimate on Rosie and Tiger. And they still haven't been able to pick up that kill. They got all 4 summoners out of Decoy and Raid.
Potentially the saving grace of this Bombers lineup in game number 3 here. Bot lane seems to have complete control. Ludens is the pickup by the Lulu. Raid goes back to base, picks that one up, but Tiger, you have to think, will be matching with his ball.
Yeah, I just don't know how you come back into this game now. You're 4,000 gold down. Seb has just had no control over his jungle.
And that's value.
Yeah.
Only doesn't get spotted. He gets the red buff, and also, unfortunately, Seb shows him exactly where he is. And here we see the 1v1. Ornn versus Singed. 1v1 of the Asias, and CC lands. Very late flash from Sleeping, and Mimic just quicker, chases him down, hits him with the double auto attack.
Yeah, if you can't flash the knock-up, probably just shouldn't flash there. Gonna fall down, definitely. He was running towards a lane with 2 people in it, regardless. And now every single lane is ahead. Claire's gone for an interesting build here.
Yeah.
Bork.
Wants the sustained damage. Wants the extra health.
Maybe he thinks he's going to be in a 1-3-1 a little bit more than what he was last game.
Wants to go into a silent, but they have an Ornn. Maybe thinks being able to deal with a Sin can kind of just zoom around and doesn't have the crit, doesn't have the ability with the crit to one-shot him, so he's like, look, I might as well fall back on the Bork. I can actually sustain in a side lane against the Singed, but in saying that, that's a 0-2-0 Singed. Interesting to see the pickup.
And bottom lane turret has fallen down. You can see they're waiting on a dragon spawn as well. Seb, if you pop it there, no, there is no ultimate available, so not going to go down. However, they are still winning the race.
Seconds away from being able to cancel that one is Mimic, but Legacy have tempo advantage now. Of course, Rick Carroll pushes much quicker. Do they commit to go into the inhib? Tiger's the only one sticking around on the top side, so you have to think they're going to back away. Maybe picking themselves up a second dragon of the game.
Yeah, there's an Earth Dragon right there. You can see Sleeping running out of the base. They're going to lose the entirety of the bottom side of the jungle. And since those early mistakes made by Seb, this game has just become incredibly difficult to try and weather the storm. You can see pinging in on that mid lane as well. And unfortunately for the Bombers, they just do not know where anyone is. They're in complete fog of war, so cannot fight for these creeps. And they can't even push Mimic off the wave.
We'll be able to catch that one. Rich Harold will get a charge on the inner turret, but ultimately will go down. So Legacy, they trade evenly in the turrets and also get a blue buff and a dragon.
And this is much more of what we expected out of Legacy. Slow, controlled style League of Legends, making sure they're making high percentage plays.
Sleeping.
That is going to be the Predator popped. He now will be spotted out. Headbutt pole.
Any combo? No.
He's too quick. And very disciplined play. You see that?
Insanity Potion popped. Walk away. Unfortunately, I think he actually got blocked on Claire. He was trying to take the inside track around the corner. There's a stupid Yasuo in the way of the big giant cow, so he could not land the combo. That Sleeping didn't have flash, so...
Potentially will cost the mid lane turret at least a little bit of damage here. Seb doesn't stick around to hit it.
Yep.
He wants the jungle instead. I don't even think he's going to get that.
Wants a blue buff. Mimic is on the opposite side of the map right now. The rest of his team is kind of floating over and Sleeping his bot lane with TP, but
yeah,
Mimic's
do they
very
really
tanky.
want this fight? They call in the Ornhorn onto Seb. Someone wants this fight. Mimic misses it.
I hate seeing that, Jay.
I haven't played Ornn. But is it that hard?
It cannot be that hard. It's a big ram. He's at a steady pace. He's running towards you. And you just whack him the other way.
I'll give Quinn the benefit of the doubt. He's an 80 carry player.
Raze doesn't play Ornn.
Mimic's played a lot of Ornn.
And this might just be, unfortunately, the first time he's ever missed it.
Yeah,
but
it was right on the
Mimic,
camera.
front and center, and nobody knows the backstory, so that's a yikes. It's a big yikes.
Bomber.
Yep, unlucky. You know, as a player, you do think about those things when you're in game and you do something incredibly stupid. You're like, man, I wish they were looking, like I really hope they're looking at my teammate doing something else over the other side of the map.
Yeah, I had one of those moments last night, and I was just like, man, I really hope that Bryce isn't recording this.
Yep, and I was, by the way.
And, we'll never see the light of day.
Unlucky for you.
I'm going to put your hard drive in the microwave tonight as we actually see a little bit of a do-si-do. Map positioning. Once again, Bombers looking for that mid lane priority.
Same situation as we just saw, but flipped. Mimic has no ulti, though, so Legacy going to find it hard to engage onto the Bombers.
Let's see whether the Bombers are the ones going for the play, because they do have the ulti out of Rosie. They have the ulti out of Luch.
Sweeper shows the Fiddlesticks in the bush despite being on the pink here. Only has a bit of a flank, but Claire is just left alone in the top lane, takes down a turret, so Legacy now 4-1 in that department.
Yeah, going to have a couple of bounces there. Rosie trying to get a play happening. He's 2 levels down, unfortunately. And it just looks like, unless this game goes for 50 minutes, there's no real way into it.
Only?
For the Bombers. Only
Just
behind enemy lines. Good dodge from Rosie. That's hard to do.
Does not hit the axe. It's just a Viking version of a ward there, making sure that Claire will get out scot-free. Seb desperately wants to get the red buff, but unfortunately that will be taken out.
Yeah, Seb desperately wants something, and the frustrating thing for Seb right now is he had this game. This game was honestly his to carry for the first, 5 minutes of it. Unfortunately, just was not able to get it rolling. Had burnt the Olaf flash. Had gone up 2 camps over the Olaf. Had priority in top and mid, and unfortunately it just did not work out.
And Legacy have done a very good job at this slow and steady game, because there hasn't necessarily been a huge fight. Only 4 kills, 18 minutes in, but with every single lane being ahead, 10 to 20 CS, all of a sudden this gold lead is about 6,000 approaching 20 minutes.
It's a massive gold lead. And as you said, they've done nothing really spectacular. It's all in their CS scores. You can see they're, farming very nicely in every role.
And when you talk about team-wide CS scores, it comes down to the macro. The small decisions that the team is making constantly to allocate farm, to make Bombers have to back away from a wave where Legacy on the opposite side of the map are catching it. It's those small advantages that ever so slowly lead to an advantage like this.
Absolutely, and this is the thing. This is why carry junglers fell out of the meta. Just Seb's team is behind, so now all they're doing is saying, hey Seb, give us all your things, and Seb is like, if I don't do damage, I have smoke screen.
And the problem with Fiddlestick support is he has to be first to the play. Bombers think Legacy are going up mid lane, so they spend double pink wards in their own Raptor pit, and Rosie was sitting over the wall waiting for them. And immediately Legacy just go bot.
Sleeping, will get knocked up, no, will get flashed. However, now trying to run away. Very nice play from Claire. Conqueror OP, able to take him down, and now they use that banner of command creep. And this is do or die time right now. If this base gets broken, they are in so much trouble.
Luch has no way to wave clear this.
In goes Rosie, so they go for the big play. You can see Wild Growth, and they just blow up the Fiddlesticks. Tiger on the back line can't get anything done. Seb is just going to get run down, tries to flash away. Will try and turn some damage back onto Mimic. Headbutt Pole, however, is onto Tiger, has to burn, double summon a spell, stick it out, and Legacy are just toying with them. They're too takey, they're too far ahead. They will break the base, and they will just wander out, and the Bombers can do nothing.
And that was like the best case scenario for Bombers. Rosie gets in between 5 members with the ultimate, deals little to no damage because he's so far behind. He's going for a redemption on the Fiddlesticks. No damage on the backhand. Legacy, that is the ideal situation. Approaching 20 minutes, it's almost a 10,000 gold lead. They're going to steal away another buff. Seb's had very few this game, and they're in complete control.
We were talking about Redemption Zyra early today. I came up with some cool interactions on why that could be useful. I can't even lie my way through why Redemption Fiddlesticks is useful.
Well, he's just there for his CC.
I think that he honestly should have just bought a stopwatch.
And gone straight Zonya?
No, just gone stopwatch, so that didn't happen. Because he's just getting blown up. He needs to get multiple rounds of spells out. The silence is so crucial. The fear is so crucial. If he's able to get in there, get a silence off, get a fear off, stopwatch, and then get like more CC, because that's why you play Fiddlestick support. It's not for the big damage. I'm not saying if he sits in Zhonya's, he's going to kill everyone, but he needs to get multiple rotations of spells. Otherwise, this is just not going to happen.
It needs to be like the ulti into a fear on something like the Lulu.
Yeah.
Right? You need to...
That's embarrassing, Decoy.
Yeah, unfortunately, much like his teammate Mimic, the camera was on him as well. Didn't get the combo on the completely static dragon, as Bombers might be playing a game of chicken here. Do they actually just desperation Baron?
I mean, with what?
With not much, so they just ultimately hit a pink ward back away. They're just trying to get some semblance of vision control.
They nearly didn't have the damage to take down the pink ward, Bryce.
That is true.
That is how far behind
Seb,
they are.
No flash. Axe just misses, but I want to take a moment to appreciate the wards that Rosie played. One is in the pit, so they have vision on Baron, but the other two are
just on top
not
of it.
very commonly swept. So they'll stick around for a little bit longer unless Legacy do their complete due diligence.
So, Sleeping has dealt with the bottom lane wave. He is once again going for a banner as well. Like the build coming out of him. Honestly, apart from that one weird flash into the Wolf Pit, hasn't done much wrong this game, unfortunately.
Has just absolutely copped it, though.
Yep. And now Legacy have free reign to start up this Baron whenever they want. And even though the Bombers know this is happening, what can you really do to stop it, Bryce?
Mimic, gonna play goalie here on the Ornn. Rosie's about to face check a absolute fridge if my name's Jake Spawn Tiberian. He does.
Yeah. He also does a lot of damage, and they don't do much to him.
He's taking absolutely nothing. Legacy back away.
Actually calls in the Ornn Horn. He misses it again. Teleport going to come in from Sleeping, so they get one cooldown here.
Do they
they're going to turn onto the Sin.
Get
the headbutt. Pole will be able to chase him down, and he's just not all that tanky, whereas Mimic certainly is. Decoy now half health, but they can't really continue that fight. Legacy once again just looking to break the base. They're too far ahead. They have too many items. That's going to be 11,000 gold. And Bombers, if you don't go now, I don't think you're going to get another chance.
And they're just so squishy. Without the Sims, they have no front line. Even then, he just dropped in between all of the members of Legacy. They're just going to take the second inhib and walk back to Baron.
Absolutely. So second inhib down. Now Bombers have to be more concerned about their base than anything else. And Legacy just have such a great turn still. They still have Flash Headbutt Pulverizer. They've still got Wild Growth. Olaf Ultimate is still available as well. And this is uncontestable.
Round number 2, Mimic is in exactly the same spot. They see Bombers in the mid lane on the creep, so they know there's no contest. He's going to look to steal away a red buff, but...
Yeah, they do it so quickly. That one's going to fall down. Mimic, once again, will just be able to tank up the entire lineup. They will get the empowered recalls. They will get out scot-free. They lost game number 1, but game 2 and 3 have been dominant by Legacy.
And they needed it. Honestly, 0-2 start to the season. Disappointing performance against the Chiefs with Rift Rivals coming up. There's not a lot of time for this team to introduce the new jungler. But in saying that, these last 2 games, Only's been playing exceptionally well.
Yeah, absolutely. If you want to see him live, apparently you have to Google it because Aaron doesn't know how to get to the website. Check out Rift Rivals tickets, as we said, after week 4. And I think that this is a team that, once again, we were critical of their week 1 performance. I was very critical of their game 1 performance. However, Only should make this team better. From all extents and purposes, he should be the strict upgrade over Sybil, from what we've seen.
And looking to show it here, Legacy with Baron, with Banner. Have all the tools to dive this turret. Rosie, pink wards over the wall. He wants to be able to get an ulti off, but even with this sort of gold deficit, over 10,000, 12k is the lead.
They got to go right now. Already creeps onto the turret. That's going to be Seb getting ultied up. Rosie goes onto the back line. They get one, however, the rest of the team is falling apart. Mimic is taking a turret, and he is still at 100% HP. Finally, the turret goes down. Headbutt pole onto 2 members, and Claire is tearing them apart. Will not get that last hit onto Tiger. Yes, he will. He is godlike. And Sleeping is just going to trolley-lol his way out of the base as a Singe. But Legacy, they've been able to clean up the play. Week 1 to week 2, completely different squads. They will grab the 2-1 victory and push themselves towards 2 points.
And that was almost the perfect engage out of the Bombers. Rosie gets onto Lulu. Ray dies without casting his ultimate, but absolutely nothing you can do under that inhib. Too many CC, too much damage from Legacy. We're just so far ahead, and a very clean end to a very clean game from the lineup of Legacy.
Yeah, absolutely. You see Only with a smile on his face. He knew that early game had gone wrong. His face at the start of the game compared to the end of the game, Just a stark contrast.
That was like ultimate depression when he lost the Scuttle Crab to the Graves, walks over, Seb just smites it, and he's just sitting there, arm on desk, head in hands, distraught. But ultimately, they pick up the win, 2-1. Not as clean as they would have liked, but huge turnaround and huge confidence play for the entire roster, but specifically Claire, I think. He's their star player, week 1. Hugely disappointing for him, but now he's turned it around. And
Carbon's talked about the fact that this is like Claire's team now. He's the captain of the squad, that he's one of the vocal members, and that he is going to be one of their primary carries. Even though Mimic is an out-and-out star in his own right, he got relegated towards tank duty again. He had a game on Gangplank, but I think that this is a lineup that needs Claire to be on a DPS threat to be relevant. And the last week wasn't able to get it done versus the Chiefs and Ryoma. However, this week, very impressive performance.
Like just wholeheartedly agree. Also on a multitude of different champions, right? Like didn't just have the one game, it was multiple games. So big stuff from him.
Yeah, it certainly was. And I think at the same time, when you have a look at the Bombers, you have to say, you know, one big step forward in game number 1, the ability to snowball a game out, but then a couple backwards, fumbling a couple of jungle players. And I think this is a squad that they really need to like go back and look at what they did well game 1 and where it is falling down in game 2 and 3.
And I think it has to be fundamentals, because they're playing multiple games of Pike, they're playing Fiddles. Like, they're trying lots of new things that aren't very rehearsed and things like that, and it's the fundamentals that are letting them down. The game 1 is a not a clean victory, right? Like, it's incredibly rough. They get there in the end, but I feel like they have to go back to basics before... This is the ladder we're talking about, right? Like, you have to master everything before you can start experimenting, and they haven't mastered it and need to get back to that point.
Yeah, they certainly do. However, it is going to be Legacy picking up their first victory of the season. And to hear more about that, let's throw it over to their captain, Claire, and the analyst hangout.
Thanks, guys. And Claire, well done on the win. Conceptually, this last game you ran sort of like a similar comp around the Yasuo as you did in the first game, but it seemed to work out much better for you this time. Did you just feel you had ironed out the kinks from that first game?
Yeah, I think the big thing for the first game was when I went to do our level 1 board, I got chunked pretty hard. I lost my bone plating passive, which is pretty huge for level 1 on Yasuo, and I felt like after that laning was really hard, but after we figured that out, after I realized like I should just play safer, it was a lot easier to lane.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting because I don't think the camera caught that. In regards to this match in general, how do you think you guys, or how do you think Bombers are doing? Did you think you would beat them going into this set?
I mean, yeah, of course we thought we would beat them, but I think in game 1 they showed that like they still have good mechanics on all their roles pretty much, and I think like in mid lane I got pretty much stomped by Luch in that first game. I don't remember what happened across the rest of the map, but yeah, I feel like I got stomped personally mechanically. So I think that's something that Bombers have that they can use, actually. But for the most part, I feel like when it comes to strategy, team decisions, or team comps and stuff like that, I feel like they kind of lack there. So yeah.
Okay, looking at Luch specifically, I think like I know the casters touched on Luch quite a lot, but how do you rate him as a mid laner? Because he's always been around. But like I'm curious to hear like you specifically your thoughts on him.
Yeah, so I actually think Luch is sometimes he plays really well, and sometimes he's like you don't really notice that you're laning against him. So like sometimes he's Fantix tier when you're laning against him, which is what I felt in the first game. But like at the end of the day, when I have to rate like top 3 mids, I usually always say Swiffer, Triple, Ryoma. I never really include Luch, but he's always at the back of my mind as a mid laner who can like completely destroy you on a certain day.
Yeah. In regards to the Yasuo draft, this is like, was it something you guys like wanted to pick? Like, because I mean, you're running Lulu bot lane. Is this something that LCK? Because I mean, they're throwing things around everywhere at the moment. But is this a draft that like Lucio's cooked up, or is this like something that plays to everyone's strengths?
I think coincidentally it plays to everyone's strengths, and also it's something we've just been practicing a lot, and we think they are strong picks. The Lulu, like even when you're starting out the draft and you pick Lulu and Yasuo, it's still a flex. I feel Yasuo can go bot, mid, or top. Lulu can go bot, mid, or top, or support. So, like, the entire time you're going through, it's still pretty safe to pick them. And then once you do finish out the comp, it's like you have a Yasuo with Lulu support, like, I mean, Lulu ADC even, or bot. Yeah. And she's, like, pretty much a super support for your carry Yasuo. So I think this happens to be a comp where it works well for our team. I think we usually play like a carry style mid laner. Yeah. So I think it works for us, and they're all strong picks by themselves.
Nice. And finally, you guys had a rough start in week 1. How are you guys feeling now that you have finally have a win under your belt?
I mean, after the first week, everyone was really demotivated. We all knew at like the back of our heads that Chiefs are obviously a very strong team and contenders for grand finals this time, but it was a really painful defeat because like we had no info coming into the patch. We had no idea what they were going to play.
Yeah.
We didn't even know if what we were playing is what we should be playing at the time, and you can see that we played really standard. We played picks from like last split, picks from preseason that everyone thought was good. 8.10 picks, and then like they're pulling out on bot. They played the Yasuo comp before us, which is where we kind of got inspiration from. So it was really rough losing in that way. Like they just seemed so prepared compared to us, and we were just like dumbfounded. But then throughout the scrims past week, I feel like every team is learning together how to play this patch. So it's been pretty fun.
And do you feel like you've settled in pretty well now moving forward, or you're still learning, but you're just in a better position?
I think when we played last week, I felt like we were really behind on the meta. And then going into practice for the week, we caught up with the rest of the teams. And I think we can be like, well, it's still hard to tell because people are still trying out new things. They're still learning stuff. And I think we can be at the front of the meta, or we could be in the middle, like on any certain day, because there's just so many new things.
Beautiful. Well, congratulations again on the win. We hope to see you again on the couch multiple times throughout the rest of the split. But that is it for us here at the Analyst Cast. Aaron, thank you very much for hanging out. It's been a joy. We'll do a long shake, and then we'll have a shorter one here for you as well. But don't forget, guys, we've got Rift Rivals tickets to give away using the hashtag RRSign. Submit your sign that you would take to the Rift Rivals event coming up in July for your chance to win 2 tickets to the event here in Sydney. I'm going because it just sounds like it's going to be a kick-ass event, and it's going to be at the State Theatre, which is an amazing location as well. It's just a stunning place that's going to have all the sort of pomp and circumstance that I feel like video games deserve in this day and age. Boys, thank you very much for a wonderful night. Back to you.
Thank you very much, and it's always good to hear from Claire. He is out and out one of my favorite personalities in the league. He's such a humble guy, and I think that, that Legacy, I think, sell themselves short. Time and time again, Lucio has shown that he is ahead of the meta. And I think that with all this crazy stuff flying around, it is only a matter of time before they get back to that point.
And I want to talk about the word humble, right? Because when you ask a pro player, like, how do you rank mid laners? They're like, including me or excluding me, right? Like, question is asked. Claire, like, not even batting an eye, like Swiffer, Ryoma, and Triple as well. Like, just names 3 people, didn't even ask the questions. So I feel like when you talk about, like, humble, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's still very young and a big ceiling ahead of him, potentially going to be playing Origin this year as well if a certain person gets picked for the Vic squad. However, let's take a look at the results from today's games. It's me, Bryce. It's me. It's Chiefs Esports Club picking up the 2-0 victory over Mammoth. And then Legacy were able to, after going down a game, show that resilience that the tree has been famous for and pick up the 2-1 reverse sweep. Of course, tomorrow is going to be the boys from Melbourne Order taking on Tectonic before Avant Gaming try and sneak a win off the Direwolf, something that no team has been able to do in such a long time. Bryce, is Avant the team to do it?
I mean, Order snuck one.
No, I mean a series.
A singular win.
Yep.
But I feel like AV definitely have a tall order against them. In saying that, though, AV strike me as a team that will be very willing to try and attack BioPanther. And Order did not try and do that last week at all. They played like tank versus tank. It was like Ornn versus Sion, things like that. And I feel like Pabu could be the guy to bring those things out.
And if you cast your mind back to the last time these 2 times played, it was the Sion mid lane pick. It went to 56 minutes, and I think triple Elder Drake. It was such a back and forth game. Direwolves did edge them out, but Avant was right there on the precipice. However, that is tomorrow's games. That is all the League of Legends action we have for you tonight. On behalf of myself, Bryce, Nick, Aaron, and our entire production crew, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you to Hungry Jackson. We'll catch you tomorrow. The Ornn called, and this is going to be first blood. Flashed the wrong way, and that's Claire. And once again, sleeping will be running away. That's going to be the solo kill. And there is nothing the Bombers can do. In goes Rosie, so they go for the big play. You can see Wild Growth, and they just blow up the Fiddlesticks. Tiger on the back line can't get anything done. Seb is just going to get run down, tries to flash away, get the headbutt pole, will be able to chase him down, and he's just not all that tanky, whereas Mimic certainly is. Decoy now half health, but they can't really continue that fight. Legacy once again just looking to break the base. They got to go right now. Already creeps onto the turret. That's going to be Seb getting ulted up. Rosie goes onto the back line. They get one. However, the rest of the team is falling apart. Mimic is taking a turret, and he is still at 100% HP. Finally, the turret goes down. Headbutt pole onto 2 members, and Claire is tearing them apart. Will not get that last hit onto Tiger. Yes, he will. He is godlike. But Legacy, they've been able to clean up the play. Week 1 to week 2, completely different squads. They will grab the 2-1 victory and push themselves towards 2 points.